In 1958, Dr. King is signing a book. He's signing a book in Harlem, New York, and a lady shows up and sends him a message with a 7-inch steel letter opener that she drives into the top of the left side of his chest. It touches his aorta. The actual tip touches his aorta, and a lot of you know that an aorta distributes all the oxygen to the rest of your body, and it's also connected to your gut. But the courage to love, when Dr. King is in over 2 hours of surgery, the surgeon, Dr. Maynard, who's operating on him, they have to open up and spread his ribs to get inside of his chest, and the doctor actually cuts his surgical glove on the blade to where they had to use a different instrument to actually get it removed from Dr. King's chest. The courage to love reminds me of a similar story where Bob Marley was shot just a couple of days before he planned to participate in a concert where he wanted to unify two warring sides of the government in Jamaica, where over 800 people had been killed. The courage to love told Mr. Marley that he should go to the concert and actually unify the two sides and spread the courage to love, which came through his lifestyle as well as the messages in his music. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Let me make sure. The courage to love. The courage to love. Okay, so Bob Marley gets shot, his wife gets shot, another associate gets shot. 2 days later, he still goes to the concert, still spreads his message, brings both of the politicians in the middle of the stage, raises both of their hands, and do you know what Bob Marley said after this concert? He said, "The people who work to make the world worse don't take days off, so why should I?" The courage to love. Do you know what Martin Luther King said? First of all, before he said anything, before breath came in his lungs to make the statement, they found pneumonia on his lungs in that same hospital visit. But do you know what he still said? He said he had no ill will toward the woman who put that blade in his chest. He said he hoped that there were thoughtful people who would go and find this woman and give her everything she needs to be a productive member of society. And I call that the courage to love. So as we march, let's not reduce Martin Luther King to, say, an icon or an idol or just a statue. We love the statue, right? But when we talk about the courage to love, I'm not talking about the sprinklers you had to deal with at 902, 904. I'm talking about fire hoses that send children up against a wall in Birmingham. I'm talking about a dog named after the N-word who would sick them. I'm talking about filling up jails. As we walk today, all I ask is that you remember the courage to love and think about what was actually endured, to the point that sometimes our conversations can shift from "what's up, man?" checking on physical or basic well-being. "What's up? How you doing?" That conversation can shift to "how are you enduring?" Enduring is the basic unit of the courage to love. So as we remember the memory of Dr. King, we honor his legacy. We go and we eat turkey legs, and we have a good time at HT after we march. We stop at the Capitol. All of this great ceremony that we're having. Let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, the courage to love. Don't let it be glossed over. You're talking about a man who was anti-capitalism, anti-poverty, anti-racism, and pro-justice, and that took the courage to love. And after 1958, when they removed the blade out of his chest, when they realized that the pneumonia would be okay, and he healed up, as you know, years later, he died 10 years later, but before that death, the courage to love took him to the March on Washington, to Selma, to the Nobel Peace Prize. Nobody would have been mad. We all would have understood if Dr. King said, "You know what? I got a PhD. I'm going to just run a church. I'm going to just teach college. You know, I'll teach at a university," right? Nobody would have failed to understand that, correct? Yeah, you've been through some things. You took that blade to the chest. Maybe it's time to sit down and just be an academician and maybe fall back and serve the movement, you know, and take care of your family. But instead, the courage to love took him all the way to the moments that we see in the movies and the things we normally talk about. So I want y'all to remember that Dr. King, according to his surgeon, came within a sneeze of death. If he would have sneezed, the doctor says his aorta would have been ruptured. He would have choked on his own blood and died. Terrence, you know what I'm talking about. The courage to love is what we need to remember about Dr. Martin Luther King. All right? If you're with me, say yeah. Yeah. Thank you.